I have always been someone who is an overthinker. I'm
Mhm.
10 steps ahead of any problem, having all the solutions and just worrying, worrying, worrying. And I don't have any anxiety anymore.
Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thank you for joining. Please, could you tell us about yourself and your life experience?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Ruth, and I am in New Hampshire in the United States, and I grew up here. Um, Grew up in, kind of the perfect family. Mom and dad stayed together. I have one sister. My mom stayed home with us. So that kind of set me up for success, I would say. A lot of people have asked me how I ended up as a nurse. I've been a nurse for 20 years,
Wow.
and
Mhm.
I don't really know how I ended up in it. It was just kind
Really?
of,
You were feeling drawn to helping people?
I think I was in some way, although it wasn't a conscious thought that I wanted to be a nurse and help people. Um, I had a grandfather who was a quadriplegic, so
Oh,
I think that had something to do with it. And my sister was diagnosed as a diabetic when she was 6. So I was about 7. So I think watching the two of them being cared for had something to do with it. And I have a few nurses in my family.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
you were
all,
inspired by them as well. Uh-huh. Nice.
yeah. Um, and so, like I said, I've been a psychiatric nurse for 20 years. And initially, I really liked it. It was exciting, learning a lot of new things. But slowly, I came to realize that our medical system
Hmm.
has a lot of faults. You don't really feel like you're helping people. You don't have the time to spend with your patients. My favorite thing has always been to hear people's stories.
Oh, mhm.
And so I quickly became frustrated. I didn't have the time to
Mhm.
spend with the patients that I wanted. I felt like I was just putting out fires
Oh,
and basically surviving the shifts. And I kept seeing the same people come in and out of the hospital, so it wasn't very rewarding.
what were you doing? Like, what kind of responsibilities instead of talking to the patients?
That's a good question. So we had a lot of meetings,
Hmm. Mm.
and a lot of the time was documentation or pushing pills.
Oh, I see. So everything to
So
make sure that patients do not recover, but just stay there.
exactly. Yeah, it seems like, they have an illness, you give them the medication gives them a side effect, so you add another medication, that kind of thing. And then once people are well, when they're out of the hospital, they stop taking the meds because they feel better. So they end up back in the hospital.
Oh, I see. So yeah, emotionally it was less than rewarding at all. It was probably very frustrating to even participate in what you were expecting to be a helpful work. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. So I've always been interested in holistic health. I kind of started searching for a better way to help people. Um, and, I started going to like a psychic to get psychic readings to get
Mhm.
advice about, life and career and all the things. And the person that I was going to for like tarot and psychic readings was a Reiki master. So I fell in love with that and started on the journey of learning how to be a Reiki practitioner. Um, and that opened up a whole new world of possibilities. It's kind of the first time I felt connected to something bigger,
Hmm.
if that makes
Yeah.
um, but it was hard to find a way. I couldn't figure out a way to how to make money
Hmm.
Reiki.
Yeah.
So anyway, I continued on and getting more burnt out. Ended up finding herbalism,
Hmm.
which
Okay.
was
Sounds interesting.
great.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that kind of distracted me for a while.
Hmm. And what
It's
kind of things that you learned from herbalism, the things that you're absolutely crazy about right now, that it has changed maybe the way you live or the way you treat yourself?
Yeah, so it's so cool. I live in a very rural area and we have a big backyard. And everywhere I look, there's medicine.
That's
It's
incredible.
so, it's
Yeah.
during COVID when things got a little wild, I had that feeling that I could still help people,
Mhm.
even if the world kind of shut down. So that was really empowering. And it just kind of opened my eyes again to the fact that there are different ways that we can heal our body and our minds that don't come from a pill.
Yeah, more natural ways. It's very healing. And mhm, with the Reiki, when you were healing yourself, going to the practitioner, what kind of chakras you mostly have healed, thanks to that person? I don't know if you've noticed like specific chakras that were blocked.
Oh, yes, 100%. So, main issue has always been my throat chakra.
Mm.
I think a lot of us as
Yeah,
women
yeah,
have
that's true.
that issue.
Hmm.
I decided at a young age that because my sister was sick, I never wanted to cause any problems or need anything from the family because they had so many other worries.
Hmm.
So I learned to get small
Hmm.
and just kind of keep to myself. I spent a lot of time by myself. And I think as a nurse, I became kind of a chameleon, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Um, Showing up that in a way that was kind of neutral. And I got really good at anticipating what I thought people wanted from me.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's how I showed up. I lost a lot of myself along the way and never really spent a lot of time figuring out who I really was.
Hmm. And when was the discovery, when did the discovery of yourself begin?
Honestly, it was just within the last year.
Okay.
Maybe a little more, year and a half, I
Okay,
guess.
it's great. It's great. After you've
Yeah.
changed your profession, right?
Yes. Yeah, everything changed for me when I found coaching. So I had heard about coaching, but kind of brushed it off. It kind of
Mhm.
seemed too good to be true.
Yeah. Hmm.
The way, like, to, I have a tendency to jump into things being very excited about them and then not really following through and doing
Yeah,
anything with
I
them.
can relate to that part. Hmm.
Yeah, it's about 2 years ago, my father ended up getting very sick unexpectedly, and he ended up passing away within the month. So that kind of turned my world upside down. Um, the one good thing about it was that it kind of made me realize that life is too short to be unhappy. And with the little bit of money that I got from his estate, I chose to invest in myself to become a coach.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I'm really sorry for your loss, but I'm so happy that
Thank you.
you've made that decision to choose something easier, right? Because coaching seems something easier in a way that you don't have to work yourself, too much to the point that you don't feel your body, you're exhausted, right? And I think it's also connected to the feeling of abundance or lack of it that we are used to. Like we have to earn like to I don't know to work super hard in order to get just like breadcrumbs. I don't know, in terms of salary, for example, or the feeling of fulfillment.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, as a nurse, I made a certain amount of money.
Mhm.
And so every time I would think about what else I would like to do, my options were so limited because you can't make that amount of money doing many things.
Yeah,
And
that's
I definitely have the mindset that you have to work really hard to make money.
me too. At this point of time, you're offering coaching, right? And
Yes.
what are the ways of healing that you offer to your clients? So basically, probably some Reiki, or you're also a Reiki practitioner at this moment?
Yeah, so I haven't offered it yet, but one of my offerings is going to be hopefully in-person Reiki as well as distance, because I think we could all use a little, like I just, whenever I have Reiki, I feel light and optimistic and calm. So I feel like everybody deserves that. Life is okay. And then for the coaching right now, my focus is on helping women who feel like more like roommates in their relationship instead of, an intimate love partner. So helping them reconnect with their partner.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you're not using plant medicine for that, right? Just simply on talking.
So
Hmm.
yes, no, I am using plant medicine as an additional add-on if people want. Not herbalism per se, but so a huge part of my journey, the most impactful thing, other than coaching, has been microdosing psilocybin.
Okay.
So that's
Hmm.
that I have as well. It's very gentle but impactful.
Hmm.
It's very There's only a few contraindications, and so I understand it's not a mainstream treatment. So if people are not interested, there's absolutely no pressure. But if people are,
And what are
I
the
would definitely.
benefits from using this? Like usually.
Yeah, so it's very good for anxiety. It's very good for depression. They are studying it for the use in PTSD with veterans. Um, so for like flashbacks and those kinds of things. It can be good for inflammation and pain.
That sounds great.
So,
Okay. Have you tried it yourself as well? Okay.
yes, I have. I had dabbled recreationally before, but was introduced to microdosing in September. And so you take a very small dose 3 times a week for 8 weeks, and the results kind of build. Like even a few weeks later, I was noticing I was
Okay.
still feeling really well. And yeah, I have always been someone who is an overthinker. I'm 10 steps ahead of any problem, having all the solutions and just worrying, worrying, worrying. And I don't have any anxiety anymore, unbelievably.
Wow.
I mean, there are blips where
Uh-huh.
I have
Yeah,
worry that pops up, but in general,
that's
it's,
incredible. And you didn't
isn't
have
it?
to work on your mindset to do nothing, just to take these doses. Okay.
No, you do. I mean, you can take them and you'll probably notice some effect. But if you are working with a coach at the same time, that's where the real magic is.
Okay, that sounds very exciting. Okay, amazing. And talking about your clients, have you noticed like a certain pattern that they have when it comes to their issues? For example, that they feel like they're just flatmates or neighbors with their intimate partner. Like, what are the limiting beliefs they usually have, or any pattern that you've noticed?
So I feel like, again, as women, we are likely to put our own needs last and want to take care of everybody else in our lives and our jobs and make sure everybody else is happy before we even stop to think about how we're doing. So I would say that's the major thing. Um, a lot of people pleasing, a lot of, being scared to say what's really on our mind because we're not sure how our partner is going to react, kind of wanting to keep the peace, not seeing how valuable we are as humans.
Yeah, thank you. And in my previous episode, I've mentioned that I've noticed that women, for example, their three chakras are targeted, that being throat chakra, sacral chakra, and also root chakra sometimes as well. So that's what I wanted to ask you, if you agree on that point, or if you have any other insights that you'd like to add.
Yes, 100%. I think for me, I can really speak to my own personal journey. Sacral chakra and root chakra have both been problem areas for me. Um, I grew up, we didn't talk about healthy relationships. We didn't talk about healthy sexuality and honoring our body and cherishing our body. And so I never learned that. I put myself in situations where I was treated very poorly. And like sex was almost a
Shameful.
bargaining chip.
Oh,
Shameful.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So I've had to do some work on my sacral chakra. I think there's probably more work to be done.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Same to me,
that's
same
where,
to me, yeah. I also have
yeah,
grown up in the environment where the girls are usually shamed, their bodies are shamed, like to cover yourself, to behave in this certain way, don't say this, don't do that. And a lot of shame is just like planting on, like on top of each other. I don't know. And it's been quite a healing journey to just get rid of all of that. But I feel like there is plenty of work to do still. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we kind of are judged on our appearance before we even speak. You know, if you're wearing cut shirt, you're putting it out there for everybody to see. And if you're conservative, you're a prude. Like, yeah, there's so many judgments out there. It's hard.
Very, very unfair. But I think it's also a part of the system to make sure that women are disempowered in a way, which is very sad. I also wanted to ask you about past lives and if you know anything about rituals done on sacral chakra. For example, I've heard that in ancient Egypt it was typical to carry out certain sacral chakra rituals to make sure that it brings abundance and everything, but I feel it still affects us in our present time collectively.
Yeah. I don't know of any rituals, but I believe that that was a thing in ancient times. I feel like our ancestors were much aware of those things and nature and respect of a higher power.
Mhm. The tools that you are using, you like Reiki, you like crystals as well, right? I wanted to ask if you also use light language transmissions, because that's the things that I usually bring up for people to know about them if they don't know, because they're very good.
Yes, I listen to them. I trans-
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I find it calming and healing.
I would love to do them as well, but sometimes I'm not sure if that's like my imagination or for real, certain high vibrational language. But I'm feeling highly resonated with that. But you also told me that you identify yourself as a light worker, but not a starseed. So you feel like your solar region is from the Earth.
You know, I've always identified as I'm a healer, but no, I mean maybe both.
Yeah. Maybe it's all possible. Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's amazing. It's amazing.
The group healing is very powerful.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Especially in the past, the women would usually gather during the moon time and do something fun together. Now I'm also thinking about that we should bring it back to feel more connected. I don't know.
Yeah, agreed. I much more of that in my life.
Hmm. And speaking of women, have you had any traumas that would come from them, from their behavior? Have they hurt you in a certain way? Like any shadow aspects that you've noticed that some women possess?
Yes, I think we have a lot of women, and it comes out being very judgmental, cruel sometimes, especially in nurse competition
Mhm.
and gossip.
Yeah. Also in my life, somehow, like primarily women were the ones that were hurting me in a certain way. And that's the reason why I'm asking others as well. Because I feel like because of the systems that we have right now, women feel themselves usually so disempowered that they have to find ways of manipulating things and make sure that they own power. And that's like the things that I wanted to ask you. And do you have like a certain opinion how we could collectively shift from that competition-based mentality, especially, or like because I've faced a lot of envy or jealousy and the actions that were derived from those feelings. And for me, it was like a little bit shocking. And I'm still figuring things out how we could potentially shift from that dynamic with other people.
Yeah, I think if we're lifting each other, supporting each other, it goes a long way. Just, a nice eye contact, hope you're having a good call, anything like that.
Thank you. And also, I would like to hear a little bit more of how you have reconnected to your authentic self, to know your journey, because you've shared like some parts of it, but I would like for you to tell me more, basically.
Yeah. So for me, I struggle with addiction.
Hmm.
Um, and when I quit drinking, first big step, I used it to numb myself and not. And so when I stopped, I started coming back. And then learning how to be a coach was really huge. My meditation too, slowing down. I remember during my coach training, just, thinking random, I
Hmm.
just had a feeling.
That's incredible. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Yeah. And then having a safe space, hiring my own coach, I was able to do things I'd always been ashamed. And once I was able to look at those things, no one ran away.
Hmm.
It wasn't scary anymore. So that gave me the motivation to work and learn who I am.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
finally realized,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your courage to just share this raw story of yourself. Yeah, it's probably been so tough. Thank you.
of course.
Yeah, I think we lean to certain addictions. For example, for me, could be a food addiction because I would have like or shopping as well, going for shopping to just suppress whatever is there, especially if there's like a certain emptiness inside and you just like want to feel it with something. And it's incredible that slowly we are coming to the feeling of wholeness within without having to look for external things to make us whole. Yeah, because I also had a little bit similar thing with food and with shopping, I'd say.
You're right.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Also, your job was so stressful. You have probably seen and heard a lot of difficult things. It's really hard to just deal with everything mentally. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. thing that I figure out how to manage. There's to read all the history because I thought it was. I actually had to stop doing this. If I stopped to think horrible things through, I wouldn't have been able to. I had to kind of shut off.
Thank you for sharing. You've done so much, and look at you. You're amazing. So inspiring. Yeah. Very cozy vibes that I'm getting from you. Um,
Yeah.
so, is there anything else you would like also to add or to discuss?
Just say struggling, let somebody know it's not weakness, it's part of this human experience we have. It's really hard to invest in ourselves. It's so worth it. We only have one life, most of it.
Yeah, that's so true. And especially if you're surrounded by people that you do not fully resonate with, it's also possible to look for new connections because some people may be stuck within one environment thinking that's the only thing that they are going to get and that it's not worth sharing your authentic self with these people, or it's not safe enough. But you can always look for professionals, for those who are willing to help you, and just for other people that maybe are kinder. Just go out and never give up on the hope. I think hope has been a huge motivator for me my whole entire life. Without it, I wouldn't even get to where I am right now. So that's also an important thing, I believe.
Big part of what I believe. I want to bring that for people. You're absolutely right. We have so many tools to connect with people all around. So just because you're close doesn't mean you have to be anywhere.
Yeah, that's so true. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for sharing your light and wisdom. Thank you for being so cute, positive, and just inspiring others. Thank you for your words.
Thank you so much.